Welcome to the Fire Away Podcast. The podcast that is the Fire Away Podcast. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Fire Away Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Meyer. I'm here with Matt Williams.
Hey.
Fred Anders is back. What's going on, Fred?
Hey, not too much.
Hey,
It's been a
welcome
while. It's been a while, yeah. I've had a couple conflicts there here and there.
That's all good.
Good to
Hey,
be back.
check us out on Instagram, Fire_Away Podcast on Instagram. Catch up on all your episodes. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are on all major platforms. We got Mr. Duffy Nagle with us this morning. Good morning, Duffy. How's it going, man?
Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good. Glad you can make it, man. Thank you for your time this morning. We've been trying to get you on the show for a while since we heard about some of your background, so it's good to get you on here.
You're a busy fellow.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, no, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you could come on. Yeah, like I said, like Mark said, it's been we've been trying for a little while now. Get this figured out.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. We were talking about all the Hollywood secrets off mic, so we're not going to be able to share them on mic. Tune in for the After Dark episode if you want to get all the secrets.
It's been tough getting them here because we all know here at Fireline it's important to make money, right? So it's making time. So
Oh yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, we're going to keep trying. And that's just for all the technicians out there. We want to get technicians on the show more and more. So we'll work around your schedule, whatever we got to do, early, late, whatever we got to do. We want you to get on. So reach out to us if you want to be on the show for sure.
Yeah. So, Duffy, welcome, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, Fireline, how long you been here at Fireline?
I've been at Fireline almost 2 years now.
That long?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It'll be 10 in no time, right?
No time at all.
Yeah.
I just
It
celebrated
goes real
10.
quick.
I just celebrated 10 in November, so yeah, it does go by pretty quick. Well, welcome, man. Welcome.
Thanks,
I think,
man.
like I said, we met a couple times, but I don't know much about you, so I'm really interested in kind of hearing the stories. I've heard some backstory from guys who do know a little bit about you, so I'm kind of excited to jump in on here and see what you got going on, man.
So what are you doing here now at Fireline?
Install right now. So mostly programming.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been great. The guys have been great in the department. So kind of learned a lot really quick, and yeah, it's interesting. It's
Now,
fun.
what brought you to Fireline? You knew somebody in Anna's family, right?
Yeah, my father-in-law knew Anna's family, so
Okay.
suggested I come over here.
Okay,
So that's how that all worked out.
awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I'm assuming you had a background somewhere in fire alarm before you came here 2 years ago?
I didn't have any experience in fire alarm at all. I used to work in production, so I did audio and a lot of TV shows and things like that.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
We got
Kelly-
a little bit of workflow, you know, is a little bit similar, but
So if Kelly ever leaves us, we're reaching out to you, just so you know. We're like, hey, man, we're going to put you in this spot over there. How long did you do all that? Is that what you did straight out of school?
well, I used to straight out of school. First, I went to a military school. I wanted to go in the Navy, and then I started editing in a military school. And then I went to North Carolina, started editing for a CBS affiliate, and a buddy called me from LA and asked if I wanted to come out there. So I put in my 2 weeks and went out to
Somebody
LA.
you were in the Navy with?
Military school.
No,
Yeah.
I mean the guy who reached out to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, I went out to LA in 2005 and started editing, working in post, and then had an opportunity to go out in the field and do audio. I always liked audio. And 10 years went by, and then, came back here, and now I'm doing fire alarm.
Now, you from Maryland?
From Delaware originally.
Delaware,
Yeah,
okay.
Wilmington.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you said you were in military school, you were in the Navy, and you could just leave there and go to LA?
Well, it was a military school, like a private one, so
Okay.
like Citadel or VMI. It's called
Gotcha.
Norwich University,
Norwich, okay.
Yeah,
That's like, where, Vermont?
Vermont. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. I looked that up. I didn't guess that.
My goodness.
Mark knows the schools.
Yeah.
So you kind of been all over. And how was it? Was it any culture shock getting to LA?
I mean, when I landed, it was awesome. Weather
Yeah?
was awesome. Typical
cold.
stuff, sleeping on floors, in the beginning, and
The LA story.
yeah,
right?
yeah. But it was all fun.
So you said you went to a military school and you wanted to go to the Navy. So
I
the
did.
Navy never happened then?
Navy didn't happen.
Was that
Yeah.
because you found this job? Or
Well, I started editing up there and just kind of lost interest in
the Navy itself?
in military. I mean, I felt like I proved it to myself by going to the school
Okay.
that I could do what I wanted to do. But
So did you fall into editing at the school, or did that
I
something
did.
that like you want and pursued that while you were
no, I fell into it.
there? What'd that look like?
Well, I didn't have a major when I went up there, and I saw people editing at one point, and I just said I want to do that. So I just jumped in and started editing, and it was cool because we had
what were you editing for?
well, we were editing at that point. We were editing a 4-part series for Vietnam,
Okay.
and just a school project, and so we had a Colby Military Writer Symposium up there, and Mark Boyden and Clancy and all those guys would come. Griffin would come, and they would actually come into the studio and watch us. They thought it was interesting from a military.
Are we talking Tom Clancy, the writer?
The writer,
Okay.
yeah. So they would ask us questions as we're editing, and they thought that was interesting, and here we are just kind of geeking out. And Mark Boyden just did Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
So I remember him sitting next to me asking me like, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?" Because he said he was working on a movie at that point. So I thought that was kind of cool.
For sure.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Now, what made you want to go into the Navy at first? Did you have family in the military, or?
I had an uncle in the military, but in the Navy. But I think we used to go down to Annapolis a lot. And,
Okay.
It's kind of just installed in me. I always like the camaraderie and the physical aspect and things like that. So.
You Delaware guys, did you grow up on the water?
No, up in Wilmington. Well, I was at the beach a lot. Yeah.
It's a quick little hop over there, right,
Yeah.
to the beach.
Yeah, Jersey, Delaware, Maryland.
So what year was it that you got started in all the editing?
Well, in college it was 1997.
The late 1900s.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And when I went down to North Carolina, that was 2002, and I edited down there for a couple years.
And then out to LA.
Yep.
And then you were in LA for what you said, 10 years?
10 years, yep.
Okay. And then back here to Maryland.
Back here to Maryland. Yep.
So what out in L.A., you had to sleep on floors and trying to figure out what you're going to do and get into spots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's competitive, I'm sure. And anything to do with TV, radio, movie, what have you, right? I'm sure it's competitive in every step of the way and every job that goes into doing that. What was that first big break for you to really kind of latch onto something that kind of got you started?
Well, actually, the owner of a company I worked for primarily was his dad was a professor at Norwich, at the school I went to.
Okay.
So I reached out to my professor, and he just said, reach out to this guy. And I think they were about 15 people when I started, and within a year, reality TV blew up, and they had 150 people.
Because you're talking early 2000s, that was the start of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it kind of was expected. You would work for 4 months, be off for 4 months, come back, but that never happened.
No.
Then you said you had a buddy that brought you out there.
Yeah. Well, we kind of, told each other if one of us goes out there, the other would.
Okay, so he wasn't out there and established or anything.
No, he picked
You
me
both
up with
started-
his girlfriend in
Okay.
Volkswagen Golf, and they just moved out of their place.
Hey, man, we got a spot on the floor over here. Come on out.
Yeah, we stayed in Venice at a buddy's place, and
Now, were you single when you moved out there?
I was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only way to go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's fun times. A lot of young people, a lot of transplants, people trying to do the same thing.
Now, once you went out there, how long did it take till you got a hold of your professor and he got you in with that? How long were you?
I think about a month.
Okay,
Yeah,
so not too
it
terribly
happened
long.
pretty quick.
Did you have a job when you first got out there?
No,
Nothing
I
at
had
all.
like $500, maybe $500 only.
Jeez.
At a bag, and that was about it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I knew I could always come home if I needed to. But
Yeah, I think more people should do things like that, right? You
Yeah.
got to take a step, take an adventure, and figure out what you're going to do, right? It just kind of shapes what you got going on.
Take
So
that risk.
That's cool, man. No, I
Yeah.
mean that's a good story to have,
Yeah,
what I mean?
like-
and a good value to kind of fall back on.
yeah, I always credit my parents for making me feel like I could take that opportunity or take that chance and
You had
you know,
that
come
safety
come
net.
home if I had to.
Yeah,
you know?
you had that safety net back home.
Yeah. So as long as you have that, why not?
Now you got 10 years of great stories and
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I got to see the whole country on production's dime, so that was pretty cool.
So you got to travel around all over
yeah,
the place.
yeah. I think I've been everywhere but North Dakota and Iowa.
Oh, I mean,
But I don't know that I care to go there.
Now, did you go to other countries for the job?
I never went to another country.
Okay.
We did a Marine Corps recruiting video where they went to Japan and
Yep.
things like that, but I didn't. I did the States part.
Okay.
the only thing I know about North Dakota is they say that's one of the best places to retire in because of no state income taxes and a bunch of other stuff going on for your 401k money and all your retirement money. So,
Yeah.
It's not hot enough for me.
Get an address in North Dakota. Just swing by every now and then. So do you have any So what are some cool stories? Some cool people maybe you've met while you're in LA, bumped elbows with?
I mean, it's been a lot. I forget a lot of stories, but when I first started, I think what I did a show like it was called Fat Camp up in New York. So I was running around chasing a bunch of kids for like a TLC show. And when I came back, Ace of Cakes just got started with Duff Goldman here in Baltimore. And showrunner asked me if I wanted to do it, and I turned it down like twice. And came back to me one more time and said, "I'll do it." So I came out here to Baltimore, and that show lasted for years. I remember being down at the Super Bowl, and Duff coming up to me and just kind of elbowing me. He said, "We just got picked up for another season." So that was kind of cool.
Now, what made you turn it down the first 2 times?
I was just content with getting back to LA. I made a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to just kind of chill out for a minute.
Yep.
So that's why. But yeah, and then Ace of Cakes just took off. That was the big show, man. It was like here, it was The Wire and Ace of Cakes. We could do anything.
Yeah, and him and we were talking before we got on, and he's still doing stuff. Like he became a star off of that show, and it ran for a while.
Yeah.
Definitely a Baltimore hero, a folk hero now, like you said. Just like anybody else that was on The Wire, you see him around. But yeah, Duff still, he's the man.
It really got to the point where we started suggesting what we wanted to do. Like we wanted to go here or do this, so they would throw out a cake idea, and then next thing you know, we're out there,
You're out there.
doing that cake, So,
What other shows did you do?
from there, I did a show called Flipping Out. Went back to LA, and I met my wife, and here in Baltimore, moved her back to LA. So I tried to look for a show in LA, and did Flipping Out for like 7 years. So yeah, that was on Bravo for a long time. I did a lot of other shows like in between, like Best Thing I Ever Ate or.
So
other
you didn't
Food
work for
Network
one
shows.
specific network. You could do different networks.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that all part of a union as well?
I was never in the union.
No. Okay,
No. So, but some shows are union.
right. Okay.
I had friends that started the show Naked and Afraid, and they tried to get me to come over on that, but that was union. So then you got to go back and provide your hours and pay your dues and all that stuff. So,
I got you.
Not worth it.
well, I mean, it all depends.
Yeah.
Kind of wish I took it, but
So did you meet your wife while you were filming or doing the stuff for Ace of Cakes?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Was she working with the Ace of Cakes or?
No, I knew her. My parents had known each other. My parents knew her parents.
Okay.
So reached out, and that was that.
Kind of arranged.
Yeah.
A good old Baltimore arranged marriages.
It happens. It happens.
Much partying out in LA?
Oh yeah.
Did you party with a lot of the superstars or anything like that?
No. I kept it mostly with friends and things like that.
Okay.
So I remember one time we came back from random. One of my friends was in a band, a small band or something like that. Wanted to go buy a short bus up in Fresno. So a bunch of us jumped in the car and drove up there, and I drove back with them, and we led right into Venice. Hopped at a bar. Next thing you know, the whole bar's in the bus, and we're driving to
my
Venice.
gosh.
Things like that.
And he's like, that's where that story's going to end.
So, can you walk us through a day on the set as far as like what you were doing if you're gonna get somebody set up for sound or
Yeah,
what all that kind of entails?
Yeah, typically the way it works is like, you go in the morning wherever you're going, and like I think sound ended up starting being, it was like an afterthought, in the beginning, but cameras would get up, start shooting, then you start micing people. Later on it became, let's get everybody mic'd. Once everybody's mic'd and good to go, you call the cameras in, tell the director, tell the producer you're ready to go, and just start shooting. So, yeah, a lot of times, some shows you had like storylines you had to kind of follow. Other shows were just kind of run and gun.
So we were kind of talking about earlier that, which is you kind of like we're running around at one of the shows you were talking about, and in and out of the cars and jumping out, and I guess was it houses you were jumping into, and sounding things up.
I was wondering about that. You said flipping out, so it's like flipping houses.
Yeah. So I was
and
assuming
stuff.
that was the houses. So I mean, that was one way to go about doing it, and then also I'm sure there was studio work too, where you kind of sat in the studio and kept everybody. So what was the difference between the two, and what was your favorite if you had one?
I mean, my favorite would have been like the more run and gun. I think that kind of brought back more of like the military aspect, being ready, being strapped up, just ready for anything. So yeah, flipping out, like that was a lot of fun. It was, go in the house, mic everybody up, and shoot for 20 minutes. Next thing we know, we're in the car. Throw my bag in the car. they pull up to a house. I'm going to follow a car. I jump out, grab my bag, run in the house, booming people until I get a minute to put a mic on them or even feel like it's worth putting a mic on them, and then just continue. You'll repeat, jump back in the car, run somewhere else.
So when you we watch this reality TV stuff, and obviously we don't see microphones and stuff like that. How much of the reality TV is reality, or is it like we're going to make this scene and they are acting stuff out?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends, show to show.
Okay.
Like I said, with some shows, you definitely have a storyline. Like Ace of Cakes, we follow 3 cakes a week, so we're shooting those cakes, that process, asking questions about that. Anything that happens in between is like filler, fun things.
So is there times like they'll say, cut, we got to redo that again or stuff like that? Or it truly is reality? Like we're just going with the flow?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like if I had missed it, from the audio standpoint, and I thought it was, important,
Okay.
I would have them re-say it,
Okay.
just to have, give the editor something to work with.
But it mostly truly is reality. It's just going with it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That and, from our perspective, it is,
Yeah.
from like, the operators, it's real, but, some things are set up beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are set up through emails, text that we don't see.
Okay.
So we're capturing it like it is real.
It's real time. Okay.
Which is, it keeps you engaged, which is probably very important.
Yeah.
Right, as the sound guy, you got to be engaged in what's happening. If you know what's about to happen, I could see where you would be like, oh,
Yeah.
you'd be slacking off a little bit.
There was a show called what was it? I'm drawing a blank. It wasn't Married at First Sight. It was Marriage Boot Camp. So I did Married at First Sight, and I did Marriage Boot Camp. Marriage Boot Camp was like celebrities coming in trying to fix the relationships and things like that. And we had one couple that had like stories in the tabloids at that point, and they snuck off. And I remember like being on top of it. We had a camera from like far away. I had a boom pole that was really long. They turned their mics off. I threw the boom pole over, and here I'm thinking like, I'm getting it. Like this is me. I'm getting it. And it's important. And as I'm doing it, I realize like I feel like I'm getting played. I'm getting played by the couple, and I think they're creating this. And again, this is just me thinking whether it's real or not. I'm pretty convinced I was right because they're just playing it. They know how to play the cameras. Mm-hmm. Play the stories in the tabloids and things like that. Where, it just became
They wanted
it
you to
became an
chase them
interesting
down.
thought. Yeah. Here I was thinking all this stuff was real. And then,
Right.
Now, was there any show that you ever got into, like started, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to be part of this show. Like this show's going to suck, or
Is it all paycheck at the end of the day?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, some shows when I saw them like falling apart or failing, I kind of thrived on those, because I knew, again, paycheck, you're getting paid overtime because no one knows what they're doing. So you're definitely shooting overtime, but it's fun to like kind of bring that all together. I think from like an audio standpoint, you have a relationship with the cast and producers and things like that. So after a while, if they see what you're doing, your input is valid.
So like Fireline here, right? Somebody needs fire protection, they call Fireline, and we offer fire protection. Is that the same thing with the sound? Like, did you work for a company and these productions need sound crews, and they reach out to different sound companies and say, hey, what do you got to offer type stuff, or doesn't it work that way?
No, I think if out there it's more like shopping shows around, so someone has an idea, they pitch it to they pitch it to a production company. Production company might take it on or hear from a network that they're interested in a show like that. Then they shoot a pilot. If they want to go with your production company, then
Okay.
that's how that works.
So it wasn't just sound. So it was like a whole production company that you worked for.
Yeah.
And you were just the sound part
Yeah.
of that production company.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
And
did
then-
some video editing and all too, didn't you?
I did early on. Yeah. I kind of fell out of that. I felt like I was bouncing back and forth and kind of screwing some friends over a little bit, by
Gotcha.
kicking them out of the edit bay when I would come back, so just kind of stuck with one thing.
Did you guys finally get off the floors and get yourself into a nice apartment somewhere, or what?
I did. Yeah, we moved from there over to Brentwood. finally had my own place, and then after that, I was able to afford kind of whatever I wanted at that point.
Nice.
Young and
Yeah.
dumb and had money and all that
And
stuff.
living
so,
in L.A.
yeah.
Now,
Yep.
if you were still out there, would you have been affected by those fires?
Yeah, those are really close.
Really close.
The Palisade fires. I used to live in Santa Monica and Brentwood,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
Palisades is next
Right there.
next neighborhood over.
It got into Brentwood too, though. I thought. Didn't
Yeah,
it?
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
up on the. We used to go hiking up there all the time.
You still have friends out there?
Yeah, yep, yeah, a lot of friends.
Anybody that lost their house, or they all
No,
doing
I
pretty
had
good?
one friend say like I was never rich enough to be affected by natural disaster. So thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had friends that were, displaced and
Yeah.
things like that. But
Okay.
yeah, it was crazy.
So where does the story turn that brings you back to Baltimore?
Well, we had our daughter in 2014, and my wife really wanted to move back.
Be around
so-
family kind of thing?
Yeah. So we ended up moving back here, and I still did production here and there. Would go to New York. Was going to Alaska a couple times, and I think they were getting a little tired of the travel. So
Now, what was your wife's career before you guys moved out there?
she did before she did PR for the Transportation Authority. Maryland
So
Transportation
did she
Authority.
work out there then also?
She worked out there, and she started with a company called Remline, which she worked for before, and then moved over to Santa Monica Conventions and Visitors Bureau. So she did PR for them, which I can't imagine being too hard of a sell.
So what year did you come back here then?
2015.
15. So your daughter's about a year old when you moved back.
Yep.
And then production opportunities here just aren't what they are, obviously, out in LA.
Yes and no. I mean, I had my relationships already
So you knew the
established, so I
people,
could
right?
travel. I went back out there and worked on that show, Flipping Out, for a couple months.
Okay. Now, what made you decide to get out of?
I think there's, we have 2 kids now.
Okay.
The traveling and things
You
like
wanted to be
that.
home more.
Yeah. Yep.
It's got to be an adjustment, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now you know where you're at every day. You know you're coming. I mean, at least you're as a technician. You're out on the road. You're in different job sites, but
You're
it's
going
not.
home,
It's not
yeah.
quite the same. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going home every night.
Yeah.
So as far as technology, I mean, technology in 10 years goes super crazy. When you first started to kind of when you finished up, how much did that technology change as far as the sound stuff goes?
Well, once everything went digital, I mean, it changed a lot. It definitely changed a lot. In the very beginning, you usually would have one audio person per camera, and once it went digital, you could go, standard. Standard became like 4 tracks in the beginning. So you would have 3 people mic'd and a boom pole, and just capture whatever the camera's capturing. And after that, the standard became 8 mics across the board, and just keep adding on. And then you would bring in 10 cameras and just shoot the whole room, and just record everything.
And then
From
just
the
edit it
And
from
one
there.
sound guy.
One sound guy, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times you would want 2 just in case you're going somewhere else and things like that. But
So a lot of downsizing and lost jobs.
yes, yeah. But I mean, it was good too because you weren't missing things.
The quality went up as you get right. the
Definitely
more-
went up. Yeah. Became a little bit more fun in the routing aspect and things like that. But definitely became a lot more on one person.
How was it for you trying to keep up with the changes in the?
I mean, in the very beginning, it was a little tough, but it's like fire alarm. Once you have a change, you're so used to something else. It's a little difficult to get out of it. But once you get out of it, you realize like the capabilities of what you can do with a new product.
Sure.
Now, do you still have people reaching out to you at all, saying,
Very, very few now. I say last year a little bit more, but I still work doing some work with bands and things like that on weekends. So work with a company called Blue Sky Audio. We do one of our big things is Wine in the Woods. So we do that every year over at Merriweather or the grounds over there. I work with mostly a band called Carrie Ziegler Expensive Hobby. They were apparently big in the 80s with Crack the Sky.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I know Crack the Sky. Yeah.
Yeah, so these guys are really talented. A lot of fun to be around. So it's good to get out every so often.
Still get that little itch right. And,
Yeah, just
scratch
enough.
that little itch, Yeah, that's awesome, man. So now, I mean, you were saying when you first come on, you like what you're doing now and the programming and all that.
The guys have been awesome over there. You know, really kind of got me up to speed, and you know, always there for you. You know, it's it can be challenging, but you always have that support when you need it. So
It's got to be. I mean, it's still kind of. It's nothing like editing, I'm sure, but you get your hands on your programming and you're thinking all day long, right? It's still kind of engaging in what you're doing, and that challenging aspect. It's definitely not a boring job.
No,
you know what I mean.
No, even yesterday was a fire marshal turned into, looking into a program that was a little bit more complicated than I expected, and fixing that and feeling good about that. So.
Do you have any other, hobbies outside of work that you work on, except for what we're talking about here with the editing and stuff?
Mostly just hanging out with the kids, and
2 kids will do that to you, right?
How old are they?
5 and 10.
Okay, they're still pretty young then.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. Boys, girls, both.
Both, yeah. 5-year-old, the boy's 5 and the girl's 10.
Okay.
So
Into sports or anything?
I've been running with them a lot the last couple of years.
Yeah, you did cross country, right?
I did cross country. Yeah.
I looked that up too. I didn't discuss it. And rugby, I seen rugby.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
I
you look
played
like a cross country guy, not much of a rugby guy.
I got up to 205 when I was playing rugby.
What position?
I was inside center.
Okay.
Yeah. When I first started, our team was ranked in the top 10 in the country, and it's cool because the way rugby works is you go up and down divisions. There's like 3 leagues in the division. So the guys that played before me were phenomenal, and I think I was 180 when I started, so I was just getting wrecked,
Gives you motivation to put that size on.
Yeah, but I mean, once that sport is very addicting.
Mm-hmm.
I played basketball my whole life and ran cross country and things like that. But rugby was a really fun sport. Took it serious and worked my way up on that.
That's
so
cool, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you out running with your kids? Are either of them interested in cross country? Do you think, or
Well,
maybe have a future in it?
We started with a ridiculous race up in Philly called the Gritty 5K. They hand out hot dogs during the race, and,
nice.
Dancing and all that stuff. And
Because that's what I want when I'm running 3 miles. Is a hot dog.
Yeah. So my daughter showed interest. She said, "I want to run." I was like, "It's it's a lot farther than you think." And she did one. We did that one. I carried my son and on my shoulders, and I pushed her in a stroller for like half of it.
Jeez.
And then the next race we ran, she ran the whole thing.
Oh,
and
that's cool, man.
I'm still carrying my son, so that's about to stop.
Time for him to start getting his runs in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine. Keeps asking me. I'm definitely not a cross country runner, as you can tell by my physique. But I like to run, and she keeps asking me to run. She's 5 also, so she wants to get out there and start doing it. And I'm like, you're gonna make me look bad, because they just don't get tired, man.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah. I told them like I'm always like, come on, let's go. I don't want to be out here for an hour, and I'm starting to realize in 2 years I might be trying to keep up with
them.
Yeah. Well, trust me. That's what I do now. I tell my just go, just leave me.
Yeah, Dad'll catch up to you eventually.
Yeah,
I'll see you at the finish line.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun though. Hang out, get a medal, hang out after the race. If kids feel good.
Yeah,
We're going to accomplish something. It's cool.
Yeah.
We're going to do one of those Savage races in April, and my little one's going to do the Savage Junior one, and she did it when she was 3, so she's going to do it. She'll be 6, almost 6 by the time we do it, so she's looking forward to it. And just the medal at the end, she feels like she accomplished something.
You gotta have a medal.
And yeah, she gets to get dirty, and she gets a medal at the end. She loves it.
That's cool.
Nice, man. Well, what we ask if you've listened before, you know that we like to ask the same question at the end of the podcast, and it's kind of it doesn't have to be so deep, but it's we want to see what your opinion is of it. So we want to know, what would Duffy today, 2 years, I know it's only been 2 years, but what would Duffy today say to Duffy coming in the door day one?
It's interesting. I think, looking back, maybe be less timid, realizing that, Fireline truly is a family. Everybody's approachable. No question is, I would say, stupid or dumb, but they can be, but people willing to answer. I think everybody kind of came from somewhere, kind of came up through the ranks. Yeah, I mean that's about it for me.
That's good.
I just really can't get over how helpful everybody is.
It's a really good group of people. We've said it on here many times about how good of a place it is. I mean, we get to do a podcast at work, so we're very lucky. And the group of people that we work, even people I don't work with, I don't work with Fred or Matt every day, but like you said, there's so many in the different departments. So many people are approachable, and just it's nice to see somebody you don't know and still be able to say hi. Because we're growing and there's more and more people every day, but everybody seems to have a smile on their face most days and enjoy coming here. It says a lot about Fireline.
Yep.
No, for sure. We talk about it all the time. It is does have that family feel for sure, and it makes it fun to work here.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, Duffy. I appreciate your time today, man. This has been great. It's been great getting to know a little bit about your background and where you came from. So welcome aboard. New, like you said, before you know it, it's going to be 10 years.
Yeah. Trying to keep up with the kids at that point.
That's it, man. Well, thanks for your time today. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you joining the
Enjoyed it.
show. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, buddy. See you.
Thanks, man.